Welcome. So today I'll just continue where we stopped yesterday. Yeah. So I guess we could just start. And hello, Bryce and Ken. Just gonna greet everybody today. And hello, Eldar, if it was right. And yeah, Oreo as well. Okay. So yeah, the initial release is quite outdated. And mesh-wise, it's not really the best thing I did. And so is the game compatibility. So I don't know how this thing is even working on your version. Okay, so what we will do now is basically to unwrap here, since that will be connected with the ring later on. And that's the backside, so it's not really important that it looks good, but of course we just want to have some mesh there so it's not see-through. And thanks, James, I'm glad you like that. Alright. I'm just gonna adapt this here. But that can be taken care of later on. Okay, so now we apply the array filter again. Filter modifier, sorry. And we can see we have the whole wheel here. And what I do now is simply the outer ring of the rim. Keep it simple because we don't want to waste polygons on this, since we don't really see it anyway. Like this. And extrude it in here. And then we basically cut the wheel once again. So maybe to make everything a bit more interesting, might ask some questions like, how was your day? Whatever. Since that's what we have to chat for, I guess. That's nice to hear. I'm not sure. I don't really have plans of anything right now, so I'll just see with what kind of mod I will come up in the future. So it's basically, I usually have spontaneous ideas, so if I have something I kinda see a future in, I just start working on it, and if it turns out somewhat okay, I start sharing the progress. If it isn't, I usually just scrap it and it will be totally forgotten. Okay, and now we have the wheel cut here. And now it's time to merge again. Okay. Oh, what's even better is just to fill those areas. So we want distort this round shape here. Yep, I'm back at it again. I'll just try to stream a bit more often now, since I kinda need a way to make this channel grow as well. By the way, what would you think about sometimes just doing like game streams, so of me playing games and whatever? Like, for example, right now we have the crew, the beta, whatever. Need to check out how to spell that word in English at least. Yeah, stuff like that basically. So I'm just asking because I don't want to clutter this channel up with random things. But I guess car-related games still work, I guess. Yeah, it's an overhaul of an overhaul. That's well said. Okay, now we have this. So like I said before, it's not really important that this area here looks good, because that's a part you don't really see anyway, so yeah. Well, nothing happened to the Miramar. It's basically just waiting to be worked on again. As you've seen before, I've already made already made some new bumpers. Yeah. I don't know when I'll start working on it again. Because like I said yesterday, I guess, still have some projects running, like the overhaul of the S series and such stuff. Here we might just mark sharp. And then hit array again. The object offset to this empty. So. And of course, we will just unwrap those areas. Again, the areas you don't really see can be unwrapped to a small area of the whole UV map, because they simply don't need that much detail. Okay. So let's see what else we have unwrapped. So what we have left is just the front part of the wheel, which we can unwrap with project from view later. But since we want this part to be seamless and just look high quality, we will simply apply array again. So we have the whole wheel. Oh wait, I forgot to apply the first last thing. And now we have this whole thing selected. And what we do now is hit U and project from view. And now as you can see on the UV map we have this whole part, which can be textured easily later. And hi. It's actually interesting that this stream appears on recommended site recommendations, since this channel is kind of small, but then again I don't really understand the algorithm YouTube has. Okay, now we have pretty much the whole wheel unwrapped. Just one thing I would like to do though is to add the, I don't know how this thing is called, the air thing. No, you don't really have radiators in a wheel. And hello. Welcome. Okay, so the mesh itself is pretty much done. What we will do now is place everything on the UV map. Wait, actually I forgot something. Need to fill this. That can also be unwrapped to a random place here. And of course, again, pretty much invisible parts can just be in a small corner, sorry. And hello again. Okay, that's for the boats. Also small things. And yeah, also look at the relations of the sizes of the stuff that you unwrap. Big things which are visible should take up as much space as they can, while smaller things should take less space, and etc. Okay. I'm surprised how fast this wheel actually got finished mesh-wise. And right, here we still have to merge some edges. This might take up a while, but didn't really line up with the array stuff, so it has to be fixed. And here. Oops. And sorry if this part right now is a bit boring, but can't really do anything about that. Modding isn't always the most interesting thing. Welcome, Starbuck. Yeah, no, I won't send you the mod, sorry. You can download it on the repository at a later point. Okay, so it seems like we have this annoying part finished. Which also means we can finally unwrap this. There, it's unwrapped. Just move it where it belongs to. Then again, I think this area can be unwrapped as a whole, since we can kind of see it through this. That requires some sorting again. Okay, so that's finished. Of course, never forget to save in case something happens. Okay. So that's the wheel. Of course, things like here the width, hard words, can be set up later on. And now we create a new material for this. And a new image. Again, for my UV maps use a 2K texture for baking, which I scale to usually like 1K once it's inside a program like GIMP or Photoshop. Okay, now we have the whole wheel sitting on this image, which is nice. And what we will do now is to set up the AO baking. So we tick this box for ambient occlusion. First, to see how everything looks, we use low sampling, like 5, which is just preset. Now usually for the first test bake, I just keep this default. And then we go here down to the bake menu. So margin we can use like 8 for this size of the map, for the 2K map. Okay, then I guess now we can just do that first testing bake. As you can see, it's building up here. Okay, and finished quite quickly. To see the first result, we just hit the viewport shading button here and go to texture and see the AO map here. Of course, because of the low resolution, it's quite low quality as well. But this can be fixed once you increase the number of samples. That stretching here though looks a bit weird. Not sure where this is coming from. But I guess that will also look okay once it's set up correctly. And yeah, when you're happy with how everything looks here, all you have to do is to increase the samples. I usually use 20, which seems like a solid sampling. Of course you can also use higher numbers like 200 or something, but then it will just take years. And I think 20 is more than enough at that size. Also, I usually don't use fall off. Fall off basically makes the whole map a bit brighter. Since I like my AO maps a bit darker, so you have more possibilities to work with them afterwards. Okay, now we do the high quality bake, which will take a bit longer. Could be that the stream collapses again while doing so. So let's just hope it won't. And as you can see, the map itself is much smoother than it was before. And by the way, if I'm allowed to do some self-promotion, it will always be nice if you could donate a little bit. Small amount is always helping. And that way you of course get some access to a work in progress mod which isn't released yet. And yeah, would definitely help me to fix up my car. That was just a reminder. And oops, that was Discord. Thanks. Unleashed rep. And I also forgot to share my stream. Now it's done. Alright, as you can see, looks much smoother now. But we forgot to merge it here. That's no problem. Because again, that's the part that can't be seen anyway. That doesn't mean that you should keep things messy just because one can't see them. But overall, I'm quite happy. The last thing I'll do now is to add the thing I forgot the name of. I'll just map it to a place which will be textured black afterwards. No, sorry, I'm not really an expert with suspensions in this game. I'm more into the cosmetic stuff. Just delete the unnecessary parts. Okay. And now we will just save the image as, for example, a AO map. Well, you might just ask someone who knows that stuff better. There is that one Discord server I can recommend. I could also just post a link. Give me a second. So in that Discord server you can basically find help for anything BeamNG related. Yeah. Okay, so we have the texture exported now. What we will do now is to open GIMP or GIMP, but I guess it's GIMP. Of course it takes a while, as always. Okay. So now we have the wheel here. And I will basically just see the whole workflow of how I make the wheels. And I just see that it's not really optimized here. But hey. So what I basically do is to create 3 groups for my layers. And now we will just name them. One is for normal maps. The other is specular. And the Final one will be for the diffuse map. Okay. And of course always copy for safety. I will just grab my textures first. Oh yeah, and also mark the area for that cap. Okay, so that's done. Right, I wanted to import some textures first, like the ETK badge and stuff. I definitely have way too many folders, which you can't see, luckily. Yeah, this will replace the current S-series. So if you want to keep the old one, just do not update, I guess, because there were people complaining that I'm totally destroying the car's look. Whatever. Yeah, but that will be a completely new version, which will replace the old one. Mainly because it has so many improvements. Okay, here we have the badge. I would say that's kind of centered. So that should work. And glad someone finally likes the update. Okay. So first, you can just first duplicate stuff. Take the normals. Guess I will just multiply here to make things a bit more dark. Okay, now filter to your normal map. I think that was a plugin, so if you want to do the same, you might want to look for the plugin first before you use it. Looking at it now, I think the edge wasn't really centered. what I forgot is to scale the UV map first to a 1K resolution. That's all in order to save space. Okay, that looks fine. And as you can see here, we have smooth edges here instead of the sharp ones on the model. And then also normal map this. And that's pretty simple. So I guess we will have to kind of move things here. Since we don't want gaps. I'm doing this on a barely visible part, so it's not a problem. And to correct this here, since we want this flat, we just apply this plain color to this area. It should be fixed easily, like this. Okay, and we could also do a quick check first. So we export this. Open up Blender, and in Blender we just open our texture. And as you can see, like, at least a bit that you have some smoother edges here. I think the resolution to bake this on was still a bit too high. That's the disadvantage you have when you use GIMP for this. I still have plans to learn Substance Painter, so these problems should not be present then anymore. So how do we fix this? What we do is basically just... we will just do this later on, so when we have all our maps finished, we can scale them again to a 512 texture, not 1K. And then we can have like slightly rougher normal maps. Okay, so how do we do this specular map? We we just first apply this box here, which basically just locks the alpha channel, and then we can use a plain color for this. For wheels and metallic objects I usually prefer a light gray, and this will then just colors in plain light gray. It's quite simple. The bolts, for example, can then be colored white, since they are a bit more reflective. I also forgot this. Yeah. I also do on the specular maps is to add some kind of like dirt effect, which I also use on the diffuse map. So you get more differences in the reflectivity and they don't look as perfect. And I kinda like the look of a bit of slightly used with, so. And that also kinda fits into the whole BeamNG theme. And then also white to create some contrast. Maybe some more black. Okay, so that's fine. Can also duplicate it, but that is a bit too much, I guess. That's for the diffuse map anyway. Oh nice, we forgot the ETK badge in here. I guess this one will be chrome. So we just select the alpha channel and get rid of the yeah, the alpha so that we have a transparent area there. At least it should be transparent. And it is, as you can see. That way we get a chrome looking badge, which probably is what we want. So the less alpha you have, the more chromy the texture gets if you don't have transparency in the material settings set. Okay, and I'll also set this one to multiplication again. But then again, I guess that's a bit too dark. Instead we will just make white areas transparent. I'm not sure if Photoshop has the same same feature, but in GIMP you can basically just set a certain color transparent, which in my opinion is super useful for such things. And yeah, those are obviously new wheels. Okay, now, but where was this thing? Color to transparency. And then you just set white. You can basically take any color you want. And as you can see here, everything white just turns transparent. So okay. So the tone usually gets much brighter in game anyway when you use transparency. Not transparency, but then again, transparency is the right word for the alpha channel. Yeah. The lower the transparency, no, the higher the transparency of the alpha channel is, the chromier and the brighter get the colors or the brightness of the texture itself. I might be repeating myself sometimes, but I guess that's fine for new people here. Okay. I guess that's a nice sweet spot for texture right now. That might be too much. We can just try it out later. So that will be just saved first. Okay, and since we have most things finished now, we can just scale the whole image down again. And delete this. And use the normal map tool again. As you can see now, things look different. The edge here is much thicker than it was before, so it now should apply to the wheel in the proper way, and that can be tested easily. Yeah, except this, it's fine. I'll just fix this real quick. The same goes for this area. Okay, should be pretty much done. Oh, yeah. It looks fine. Okay, so what we do now is just exporting everything. First the diffuse map. Let's call this wheel 05 first. Of course we need the TDS format. Alright. We have to merge everything before we start exporting. And delete invisible layers so that you get what you want only. Okay. The specular map. But we also will do an alternative version of the wheel, color-wise. Going for black areas here inside. Okay, and this will be also exported as, let's say, 05B, and since that's just an alternative version of that existing texture. And that's 05S for specular. And 05N for normal maps. When you export normal maps, you need to check that you use another compression mode or setting. In this case it's BC5 or ATI2, because otherwise they will simply not work properly. Okay, now we have our textures here. And I'm kinda noticing how my English is slowly dying. Okay, and now it's time to bring it in game. So we have this wheel here. And I will take the other ETK wheels as a reference for size. Wheels can be found here in the common folder. And what we will do are simply to look for the 17 and 18-inch wheels. Of course, the modern ones. I didn't know that this wheel existed as 17-inch one. But that's fine, I guess. Could also check which one is the 05 one. Yeah, that's the one I've been looking for. And 18. Okay. So we just hit Ctrl C and go to our blend file. Yeah, as you can see, this wheel is a tiny bit bigger than the small things here. And we just scale everything. The 18-inch one first. And then scale this part here. And that's perfectly fine. Okay, now this one can just be transferred to another render layer. And now we place the smaller wheel here as well. Okay, so that's also quite simple. And that way it will be easily interchangeable between all the modern ETK mods. Actually, I just did a mistake because I scaled the whole wheel. And we should not scale this area here. I'll just select this part. Use that with proportional editing. And there was that one keybind to exclude one axis. Which I'm quickly checking. So I think it was. Right. And we want to lock the x-axis. So we hit scale and then shift X. And now this axis should be locked. Okay. So that's also done, I guess. Now we have two versions. Okay, and now we just have to name it. That's the big one. 19x9. And the other one will be 17x8. Oh no, actually that's B, I guess. The big one will be the B one. And okay, now just apply everything and the wheels are done. That's quite surprising that we just had 20 people watching the stream. Alright, now it's time to bring these into the game. Okay, here we can just take this J-beam line. O5B, and as a name we could just go for S10 or something, since that's for the series and has 10 spokes. Okay, sorry, the stream just kinda died. I hope it's working. Yeah, it is. Okay, so again, S10 wheel because it's for the S series with 10 spokes. Quite easy. O5B and also O5B. And yeah, that I even think that should be it for that wheel. We will just bring one in-game to see if everything works like we wanted it to. But now I can't really find the materials. Yes. Oh, that's here. Replace this, this, and this. And here it's just wheel O5B. And as simple as that, things should just work. Hey, and the estimated time of arrival will... I'm not really sure when. There's still a lot I want to do, so I guess I can't really give an ETA for now. I guess it will be finished this year at some point, but it's still... it definitely takes some time. Yeah, and now we will check the wheeling game, and after that, I guess I will end the stream for today. But first we just want to get this thing working. And of course reshape the sides to load now. Now let's see. Here are the S10 wheels. And they work. But for my taste, they are a bit dark and the normal maps don't seem to work. So that's a bit weird. Yeah, I guess I'll have to reload this stuff. Or change some name, I don't know. Oh, I see. The only thing that loaded was that one diffuse map. Yes, I did change the taillights. Okay, I will do some final adjustments later. And for today, I guess stuff finished. And I don't know when I will stream again, but probably some point next week. And by then the wheels should be finished and some other parts started, so that we can work on them together again. Yeah, so thanks for watching, and see you next time, I guess.